Well, thank you for joining our webinar, How to Comply in a Digital World with regards to ISO 9001-2015. And today we'll be talking about ISO 9001, what is coming with the 2015 version, and how to comply ISO in a digital environment, basically. I'd like to start with a very brief company presentation, since we have a great panel today with Alex Kwartiroff to address ISO 9001, and we also have Iker Gonzalez, our pre-sales software engineer. I'd like to start with the company presentation. My name is Kevin Devecioğlu. I'm the managing director of Bimser International. Beamster is an enterprise software development company since 1998. So as a company, we believe in simplicity, and we help companies digitally transform themselves in this competitive marketplace. And we keep this in mind. That's how we position our products and how to develop them in a nutshell. So Beamster is a group of companies. Our headquarters and our development center is based in Istanbul metro area, where the yellow dot is. We have another company in Europe for our European sales operations, and Bimser International is based in New York. So as a group, Bimser is about 150 people. Bimser is a certified SAP vendor, a Microsoft Gold partner, and Acumatica independent software vendor. Acumatica is a cloud-based ERP system. So let's look at our products briefly. We are very focused on what we do. We have 4 products available. We have EBA. It's a workflow, document, and records management platform. There is Beam. It is asset maintenance, facility management, and purchasing management system. QDMS, that we'll talk more about today, is a quality, risk, and compliance management software. And finally, Ensemble is a business process management software. So in the next slide, we'll see how we position our products. Ensemble is more of a managerial tool with performance management and balanced scorecard capabilities. EBA with the workflow and records management, Beam with assets and maintenance management, and QDMS with the quality, risk, and compliance management. They automate processes. 4 of our products, they can work standalone, independently. They can be integrated with each other, and they can be integrated with any ERP, any CRM platform available in the marketplace. All of our products are ready to work on clouds, and they can also work on-premise servers, and they all have mobile apps available. So we have the recent up-to-date technology available. We have done many different deployments since as of last year. So these figures show how many implementations, how many projects that we have delivered by the end of last year. So as for EBA, we have deployed more than 450 times. As for Beam, more than 300 times. QDMS, more than 750 times. And Ensemble, more than 150 times and counting. These are global figures, and these figures also show more or less how many clients that we have available globally. Also, before I end my presentation, I'd like to talk about some of our reputable references. For instance, 3M is one of our clients using our product EBA in 17 different countries. United Nations is one of our references. We have ArcLight movie theaters based in California. They are also using EBA in association with their ERP system. We have AstraZeneca in pharma industry. We have Bridgestone, Ford, and Renault Nissan Alliance, some of our references available. So we have many references in enterprise marketplace. Also, we also cater companies in mid-market as well. So in a nutshell, as Bimser International, as a digital transformation enabler, that's who we are and what we do, briefly. Now, what I like to do is that I like to turn it into our speaker, Alex, for him to address ISO and what is coming with the ISO 2015 and what is new about it. Alex, would you like to continue from here?
Yeah, sure. And good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for joining today's webinar. Kevin, I really appreciate the opportunity to make this presentation on the ISO 9001 quality management system. And specifically, I will discuss the changes imposed by the 2015 revision as compared to the previous 2008 revision. In my previous presentations, I presented a general overview of ISO 9001, but today I want to focus on the changes required by the latest revision. So I guess the next slide, please. Okay, before we begin, I just would like to briefly introduce myself and my company, AmRus Consulting. I'm the sole proprietor as well as a certified ISO 9001-2015 lead auditor. I established AmRus Consulting in 2015 after a lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company, which is certified to the AS91 quality standard. That's an aerospace quality standard. Now, I provide consulting services for businesses to achieve and maintain ISO 9001 certification. In August of this year, I became a Bimser Solutions partner to support marketing of the QDMS tool and provide assistance to businesses in the application of the tool in the ISO 9001 environment. I first became acquainted with QDMS during a webinar and became so enthusiastic about it because its capabilities are ideal in the preparation for certification of any quality management system, as well as subsequently maintaining the certification. So next slide, please. Okay, well, this slide summarizes the milestones in the transitioning from the 9001-2008 revision to the 2015 revision. The 2015 revision was released in September of 2015, and companies were able to certify against this version at that time. However, it was mandated that new certifications had to use the 2015 version starting in September of 2016. Companies that were originally certified against the 2008 standard must transition to the 2015 revision by September 2018 when they proceed with their yearly audit. So by now, all companies must comply with the 2015 revision when proceeding with the audit. So next slide. Okay, now let's take a look at the differences between those two revisions. There are several degrees of changes, but I will focus on the major differences and also touch upon some of the moderate changes. A top-level requirement of the 2015 revision forces each company to look at the total environment and not only at its internal processes and structure. So therefore, the big difference is to address how the external environment affects the operation of the entire organization. And in addition, all of the interested parties must be identified. We will go over several of these changes in the next two slides. So next slide, please. So let's first discuss the need to assess the risks and opportunities, which is a new and key requirement of the 2015 revision, and appears in Clause 6 of the 2015 standard. Now, risks and opportunities need to be considered for all aspects of the QMS, including all compliance requirements and for the entire context of the organization. There should be a documented plan on how the business should address the risks. So therefore, the assessment of risks and opportunities is intended to become an integral part of all major QMS components and decision-making processes. With increased reliance on leadership, it is easy to see how real business benefits will be attained for most organizations. One way to comply is a risk log, which can be populated when assessing, taking actions, and mitigating risks. However, a formal risk management process is not required with ISO 9001. So next, the context of the organization must be defined and how it influences the quality management system. This is a critical change, as this consideration will form the basis for your whole quality management system. Organizations must now consider all items that may influence the QMS performance, including external, internal, cultural, social, economic, technological, regulatory, safety, and legal factors. These are considered to be factors that will influence the organization's objectives, purpose, and sustainability. It is advised that the consideration and outcome of this process be demonstrated within the quality policy. As far as the interested parties is concerned, the 2015 revision considers customers, owners, providers, bankers, unions, regulators, partners, competitors, and even pressure groups, all as potential interested parties who may be affected by decisions made by your company or the scope of your QMS. For example, if you made a business decision to ramp up your organization's activities by having a 24-hour shift pattern, then local residents who may be affected by increased traffic or activity would then become an interested party. You must be able to demonstrate that you have taken all of these factors into consideration to satisfy this clause. Now, clause 8.4 of the 2015 standard is control of externally provided processes, products, and services, and replaces what was purchasing in the 2008 standard. So the main thread is that you must ensure that your organization's externally provided products and services fulfill your stated requirements. Therefore, your organization must determine what type and extent of controls and related information need to be provided to any external parties to ensure their delivery matches your requirements exactly. Can you define an exact specification, time, scale, quality expectation, and cost for an outsourced product? Well, ISO 2015 requires that this be done, documented, and implemented. Next slide, please. Now, let's take a look at some of the modified requirements. First of all, determining the scope of the QMS. Having an effective QMS depends directly on how the scope and parameters are defined in the embryonic stages. Likewise, the transition from revisions 2008 to 2015 provides an opportunity to ensure that this is done correctly and accurately. For example, it is easy to consider all the internal issues within your QMS definition. But is everything known in order to clearly define the external issues that are related to the outsourcing partners and supply chain, as well as the interested parties? All of these aspects must be demonstrated when the scope of your QMS is defined. Okay, but quality policy. The quality policy is created with the customer requirements in mind. Then quality objectives are linked back to the customer requirements through the quality policy. The quality objectives take the goals stated in the quality policy and turn these into statements for improvement against which plans can be made. For example, if the quality policy of a widget manufacturer has identified a customer need for just-in-time delivery with no defects as the most important requirement, then the goal from the quality policy might read to deliver widgets to our suppliers when they need them with no defects every time. Now let's look at quality objectives and plans. Using the example from the quality policy, two quality objectives could be established. The first being to address improvements of on-time delivery, and the second to address defective parts shipped to the customer. The first objective might be to improve on-time delivery from 90% to 95% within the next year. And the second could be to reduce field escapes to the customer from 4% to 3% within the next year. In doing so, the improvement derived from the quality objectives is directly linked to the needs of the customer. After deciding which areas to monitor, measure, and improve, the important thing is to make the quality objectives effective in addressing what needs to be improved. The objective should be designated to be SMART. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. So specific, it cannot be a general statement, but must very clearly and fully be understood. Measurable. It's a measured quantity must be defined instead of a vague measure of quantity. Achievable. Agreed to by management and communicated to each level of the organization. Realistic. Unrealistic goals only confuse staff and would not achieve expected results. Time-based. Define realistic milestones and monitor progress of achieving goals. Next is review the design and development process. The 2015 revision requires that responsibilities, inputs and outputs, controls, change control, change authorization, and actions to prevent adverse impacts be considered. And the documentation of these aspects is also critical to be maintained and controlled. Operational control. The requirement is that the organization must define the criteria and processes for services and products to be effectively delivered and ensure that the documentation and resources to deliver them are in place. Therefore, it is important that your process documentation reflects this improved accuracy and operational control to comply with the new standard. And performance evaluation. There is now a requirement to evaluate the effectiveness and performance of the QMS in a similar way that key performance indicators have been used in the past. Again, the organization is required to keep documenting evidence of the results, such as continual improvement, to be developed from this process. So next slide, please. Okay, the 2015 revision, as was with its predecessor, is driving three key quality management principles. First is improvement of customer satisfaction. One of the quality management principles that are the foundation of the ISO 9001 requirements is to improve customer satisfaction by planning for and striving to meet customer requirements. By improving your customer satisfaction, you will retain more repeat customers, since happy and satisfied customers are the key to keeping customer loyalty. And moreover, such a customer will bring in additional revenues. All right, next one is improve your evidence for decision making. By driving your decisions based on the evidence rather than on gut feelings, you can be more focused on applying resources to the areas that will improve efficiencies and increase cost savings with less trial and error to find the right decision. In addition, by monitoring the process, you're improving. You will be able to see how much improvement has happened based on the data. And finally, to create a continual improvement culture. By adopting the culture to improve your processes and organizational output, you will find efficiencies and cost savings, including use of systematic processes when problems occur. This will reduce the impact of the problem and increase the speed of recovery. By making this continual improvement year after year, the company will see continuing benefits. Next slide, please. Now, as I stated before in my presentation, I was very impressed with the QDMS tool capabilities that would benefit businesses in establishing or improving their quality management system, independent of which ISO certification they're trying to achieve. ICR will make a detailed presentation of QDMS following my brief introduction. This tool has a very friendly user interface, allowing control access to enter data or read-only data based on the employee position. QDMS is a modular program that supports all of the components of the quality management system. All of the quality management system data is maintained in a single database, which makes access to its content very straightforward, thus fully supporting all internal and external audits. The tool is scalable, which means that you only can purchase the components that you need without going through the expense of purchasing the entire package. Later, you can purchase additional modules if so required. QDMS is very flexible, operating either on the cloud or on a local server. It has a mobile app for both iOS and Android for remote access. And finally, QDMS has a very positive references from major international corporations that had extensive experience with the tool. Okay, next slide, please. Well, since the initial inception of ISO 9001 in 1994, based on the learning curve, it has undergone many changes to enhance its impact on the quality management system. Seeing the positive results from organizations that have adopted the standard, it paved the way for adoption of modified standards targeted to specific industries. ISO 9001, if properly implemented, is a key tool for a business to achieve higher levels of quality and thus improve customer satisfaction. And as we discussed today, the 2015 revision standard offers greater flexibility in the creation of a QMS, making it easier to incorporate the requirements into daily activities, thus providing greater benefits to an organization. And some of the benefits are better integration with other business activities, spread responsibilities of QMS throughout the entire organization, greater involvement of top management in the QMS, introduction of risk-based thinking in the QMS, and higher emphasis on performance monitoring. QDMS will help achieve higher productivity levels and, accordingly, higher profitability by streamlining the implementation of the quality management system and the ISO certification lifecycle. So that is it for my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your insights, and thank you for the updates regarding ISO 9001-2015. Much appreciated. Now, I'd like to turn it to Itier Gonzalez, pre-sales software engineer of Bimser International. So she'll be addressing how to comply in a digital world with regards to ISO 9001. Itier, would you like to take it from here?
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Alex, for your presentation. So what I'm going to do is just share with you a couple of slides, and then I'll log into the demo environment, and I'll show you how QDMS works. So first of all, QDMS, just like Alex introduced before, is a quality management system that is going to ensure that companies are following the regulatory requirements of a certain standard. And in this case, we're talking about ISO. So, for example, when we are talking about QDMS, we see that it's a modular product, which means that every module in the product can be purchased separately. This means that, for example, if there are like 20 modules within QDMS, you can buy only 2, 3, 4, the ones that you need, and makes it more affordable for you. Then it's also a product that is scalable and it's flexible. So, for example, we can comply with any standard, and also we can grow with the company. It's also something that is easy to deploy. It's very easy to use. You'll see in a few minutes how easy we can navigate the system. And in terms of the implementation process, we can get started in as little as 1 week. And basically, what you're going to do, apart from staying up to date with your certification and forgetting about all the stress before the audits at the end of the year, you're also going to be creating a corporate memory that is going to be accessible anywhere, whether it is with a browser within your computer, within a tablet or a phone, because we have the applications, just like Kevin mentioned and Alex did too. So some of the modules that we have available on QDMS are the ones that appear here on the slides, and we have even more functionality. We always update the products that we have, either because we get feedback from clients or just because we want to add more functionality to them. And so, for example, the most frequently used modules are the ones that appear here on this slide. We have the document management on the top left. Basically, we can upload any kind of document and we can review them, distribute them, make sure that they are approved before they become public in the system, all those kinds of things. We also have a module for customer complaints. So whether we have customer complaints that are coming from employees or from external customers, we can also get them into the system and maybe convert them into a CAPA, a corrective and preventive action, if we need to take care of those. We can also use QDMS for audit management purposes. So, for example, if we want to send one of our employees to perform an internal audit, we can make sure that they register every answer that they get from the different departments within QDMS. There is also one module for action management. So, for example, if we are talking about daily activities like maybe tasks, meetings, projects, we can assign them in the system to the different users, and that way we can keep track of everything. And one of the things that we have is the scalability. And for example, if I have to complete a task and I don't do it, then the time frame that we have by default is 3 days. And then, if you don't do it within 3 days, then your manager gets a notification. And if we still don't do anything, then it goes to the next person in charge. We also have a module to create surveys and distribute them. That is not common within a QDMS system or a document management system in terms of quality, but it's something that is very useful because we can create one within minutes, distribute it, collect feedback instantly, and get reports from it. We also have a module for training. So if we want to train our employees, maybe we have to record information about the sessions, the instructors, the attendees, anything we want, we can manage it here on QDMS. We also have a module for calibration. So even though we have another product called Beam for machine maintenance and all of that, if there is any device that's related to the quality that needs to be calibrated every maybe 4, 5, 6 months, we can also create reminders in here. And finally, the risk management module. It includes a few modules actually for risk management, whether it is to measure environmental risk or health and safety risks, IT risk, any kind of risk. So I am gonna log into the demo environment right now, and I'll show you how it works. You see here that QDMS, whenever we log in, is going to show us this dashboard. It basically makes categories of all the things that we have to complete, and we can see them right here. For example, we have to, read some documents or take care of the CAPAs, or, we can access everything that we want directly from the screen. So we're not going to be, mistaken of what we have to complete. And we can also filter it by date so that we make sure that we provide, we complete the actions that are needed first if they are more important. And on top, you access the main menu. This is a regular user, okay? So they don't have access to the complete system. I'm just going to cover some of the modules during this presentation. But if you're more interested, we can also have another session about it. So for example, the document management system, it includes the documents that we have access to. And for example, if I open one of them here in the system, you will see that there are a series of tabs that we can go through whenever we upload a new document into the system. So for example, we see that it has a viewer. That's the first tab. We can access the document directly. We don't have to download it or anything. We can, but we don't have to. Then we have a tab for document information. Like for example, we have the document code, the name, the revision number. We know who owns the document, the department it belongs to, all of this information that you see here. Not all of the fields are mandatory, but it is important that we keep track of most of this information. For example, we can also take a look at the revision tab. This is going to show that the original document is the document number 0, and then based on that, we can create more. The permission tab basically shows all of the user groups or positions that have access to read, print, revise, access previous versions, or delete these documents. Then the next tab is the distribution tab. Here, what we can do is list all the people who are going to be getting a notification about this new document that's in the system. And the approval tab shows how many employees have to approve the document before it becomes public. And comment, it's obvious, we can create comments in here. If we want to create a control copy, we can also do it here. We can attach references or attachments here. We can also create a new revision request. If we see something that should be corrected, we can create a new request. We can also link it to a product. We can access the review list. And finally, the history tab is going to show chronologically all these steps that the document went through until it was actually up and running in the system. And that's basically the overview of the document management system. We can do more things, but that's kind of like the overview in here. If I show you now one of the customer complaints, in this case, an external customer complaint, okay? I'm just going to edit this one in the system. And basically, again, you see a series of tabs that you have to go through, okay? Some of them are active, some of them are not. That basically means that we're stuck at that point, and that's where we have to continue. So we could select the customer that we're talking about. We could enter a complaint description, maybe some details. You see that the person who's going to take this complaint, they're going to be able to make all of these notes in here. And for example, if we're talking about product nonconformity, we could select here our categories. And this is customizable. So this is going to be the company's data that's going to be pulled up in here. And you see there that there are going to be a few people informed about this. If we want to enter some more details, like for example, who took the complaint or the date, maybe where it came from, maybe someone called or emailed us, we can also enter the information here. And maybe we can even track the product information, like the lot number or the order number, to make sure that we can find out what was the problem. We can also say here who's the team, so who's going to work on this, the team leader, the team members, and the first progress report day, which is basically going to be 3 days later. We can modify that, but by default, that's 3 days you have to complete this task. And the attachment tabs, the attachments tab is the last one that we can complete. Then all of these are going to be, appearing one by one as we go, and work within this process. So, for example, the first tab from now on is the first progress report. We can enter some details like what did we find when we took a look at this problem, and we can just put it here and select when it's going to be the date when we're going to submit the final report. And you see again those 3 people who are going to be responsible for this. We can also perform the root reason analysis. If you have an Excel document that you typically use to perform this analysis, we can upload it here as a template, and basically you can find out the root reasons, and basically those root reasons are gonna turn into actions, right? We have to take care of this problem, and so there is one action here in the system, and whenever we create one, we are going to assign it to someone. Okay, so in this case, Kevin is the user who's responsible for this action, and you see that we cannot move forward. We cannot go to the final report tab because we haven't completed this action yet. Okay, we're waiting for that action to be completed. And you see, right, that the final report, the follow-up, and the close tabs are passive. And basically, if you complete it, you click on the icon to perform the action, then we'll be able to move forward. Okay. And as you see, also there is one more tab at the end, that is active, the show tab, and that one basically shows you a summary of these complaints. It lists all of these blocks that we went through, and we can make sure that if we want to print this report, that we can do it and keep it for our records. If I open one of the CAPAs here in the system, you'll see that they are very, very similar to the customer complaints. That is basically because we want the product to be easy to use, and also because these 2 modules are very related to each other. So for example, if we have a customer complaint, we can convert it to a CAPA. And so you see that the tabs are almost the same ones, even though some of the forms are different. So you see here, we have another example, a nonconformity. Again, we can select the category in here. Maybe, this was a logistic, unsuitability, anything that we want to select in here, we can do it. And we are also informing some users. Again, just like before, we have a solution team. We can upload attachments. We can create a first progress report. That's going to be exactly the same. We have the root causes, the actions, and the next 3 tabs. In this case, there are not actions, so we cannot move forward so far. But there are 2 more tabs that were not here before. And that's basically because we can enter how much money we spend because of these mistakes, and we can also take care of the global 8 disciplines process. If we want to maybe enter the symptoms, the team leader, the team, the problem statement, all of these. If we want to follow these process, we are also going to be able to see all of those steps in this manner here. Okay, and again, the view tab is going to be like the summary before. It shows a complete summary of what we were talking about. If I show you, for example, now a little bit about the audit management module, we can create plans maybe for the whole year. And basically what we can do is define a plan for maybe a year or a few months, and then start adding audits to it. So in this case, this was just, for that period of time. We can enter the people who are going to be informed about it, and then we can start adding audits in here. So you see that there is a list that was included for this time period, and we can start adding questions to all of these audits that have been included in this plan. So you see here, right, that if I click on the questions icon, that we access all the questions that we're going to be asking. So basically, we can just schedule who is going to be asking what to what department and what they're going to be asking. So you're going to have a pool of questions, and we can just go ahead and start selecting them in here, and maybe even providing the expected answer, so that the people who completes that audit, they know, right? Even though maybe it's a different department, they know the answers that they have to get. So that makes it really, really easy for them. And obviously, if we want to add more questions on the go, like for example, they just want to deviate from that index that they have of questions, we can also do that. If we're talking about actions, again, we can create an action plan. Maybe if we have some meetings and we just want to create an action plan after that meeting, right? Maybe a few people need to take action and they have to complete a few things in here. So what we could do is take a look at the number of things that we can do here in the system. Like for example, there are 4 actions in here, and you can take a look at who's responsible, who has to perform it, the department, the description of the task, and all of these fields in here. And you see that 2 of them have been completed already. Okay. And for example, right now. Excuse me. If we go over another module in here, for example, the management review, that basically shows all of the activities that should have been completed so far, or the ones that have been planned for the future. So if you just want to take a look at all the activities that have been planned, maybe for all the modules that you're using, you can filter them and sort them and maybe find out what you have to do first. What I'm going to do is just kind of like show you the survey module. I think it's really interesting because it's something that not every company has, and we can use it internally and also externally. So we can send it to employees, but also clients. And this is, an example of a survey with different types of questions. You see that we can have drop-down menus or maybe free text options in here. And the moment we send this, the people are going to be getting a link with the survey, and we can get reports from it very, very easily, and maybe say how many people responded, or just like you see here, you see that the percentage. This is an admin user, okay? So this person is taking a look at the results of the survey. It was sent to 1 person only, so the participation percentage was 100%, and you can take a look here. Like in this case, 100% answered yes to the first question, also to the second question, and basically you're getting all of these results automatically. Okay, we can send them. We can send the surveys anonymously or not. So we can access different types of reports depending on if we know who answers this question or not. So if we are using this maybe after a training and we want to know who's been answering this survey in particular, we could also take a look at the questions that they give us this way. Okay, so we know what that person marked in here. Okay, and so that's basically how the survey module works. And I can show you also the training plan. Again, just like with the audits and the actions, we can create a training plan. So if I start adding some items to a plan, we can either be the manager who's creating a training plan for our employees, but we can also be the ones requesting maybe some trainings. So for example, if you see that last training right there, we can either see the items that are included in this training. So we're going to be doing those 2 things. We know when it's going to start, when it's going to end, how many people have been invited to the training, all those kinds of things. Okay. So that basically covers the system. You see that we have many different modules here, and what I'm going to do right now is just go back to the presentation so that we can have the Q&A session. But if you have more questions, we'll be happy to address them or maybe even have another session with you.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you, Tia. It's been very informative. During our webinar today, we talked about ISO 9001, and what is the new implications of 2015 version of ISO 9001. So thank you, Alex, for your insights. And then we talk about how to comply with ISO in a digital environment. So thank you, Tia, also for your presentation and demonstration. Now it's our Q&A session. Time for questions, and we have some questions that we like to address to our attendees. And please keep in mind that we have contact information on the screen right now. So anytime that you like to contact with us, with the speakers in this panel, you can always contact us after this webinar as well. So we are open for any discussions with you. And also, I thank you again for your interest, definitely. Let's see what kind of questions we have. So one of the questions looks like it is for you here. So as for QDMS, is there a mobile app that we can use for executing tests?
Yes, I think we mentioned this during the presentation. We have the mobile application that's available for Android and iOS. So, for example, you can use it also offline. So if you don't have an internet connection at a certain moment in time, you can always synchronize it later when you do have that connection. And it's always going to be easy to just maybe approve some documents or some processes within your phone, because you're going to be getting push notifications, and it saves time, not having to go to the system and maybe open the computer, log in, and then do it. And also, in terms, now that I mentioned the login, we can also have LDAP. So if you have Active Directory and you want to log in with your user, the one you use on Windows, we can also link it that way.
Thank you, Pierre. We have another question. It looks like it's for you, Alex. Is ISO ideal for any type of company, or it can be implemented in any industry? What would you say, Alex?
Well, certainly, ISO 9001 is really targeted for manufacturing companies. However, any size company or any type of organization that produces a product, this is the ideal quality standard to adopt. And obviously, depending on the industry, there are a number of different types of certifications, which they all basically follow the ISO 9001, but they're targeted for a specific type of industry, such as medical, automotive, aerospace, and so on. But if you look at all of them, they basically follow the same process of really improving and continually improving your processes. Yes, the question is that adopting the ISO, let's say, process or guidelines is really good for any type of industry, even if you're not trying to go for a particular certification, but just by adopting the processes, you will see an improvement in your overall results and obviously improve profitability, because you get your internal structures and processes in order and make them more efficient. So yeah, the answer to your question, Kevin, is yes, definitely has a lot of it's applicable to many types of industries.
Thank you, Alex. So any company can actually benefit from ISO 9001 to increase the customer satisfaction and to continue for continuous improvement. Am I correct?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I just want to add something to it. Is in some cases nowadays that the customer may require the supplier to be ISO certified. This way, and as I mentioned before, making sure that your supply chain conforms to your requirements so that if you're dealing with your suppliers that are already ISO certified, that helps or reduces the amount of work that you have to do in checking out your supply.
I understand. Yes, of course, right? Sometimes customers ask for ISO 9001 certification for anyone to do business with us. So in that sense, it's also important. Um, we have another question with regards to QDMS, quality risk and compliance software. It looks like for ET and me, I think. Okay. You talk about the modules of QDMS. Is the software is available module by module, or it's a package?
No, just in case anybody had that question or it was not clear during my presentation, it's a modular product. So if you only want to get 3, 4, 5 of them, then that's perfectly fine. Not every company needs 16 modules of QDMS. Okay, so the modules that you need are the ones you're gonna get.
Thank you, here. That's one of the beauties of QDMS, right? It's a modular system, so you just get what you need basically. So it's very simplified. Well, it looks like we covered all the questions that we received, well, I'd like to thank our speakers for this webinar, and I would like to thank you for your interest and for your time. You see our contact information on the screen at the moment. So after this webinar, if you would like to stay in touch with us, feel free to get in touch with us via email or by phone, as you see our contact information on the screen. And please sign up for our coming webinars. And next week, we'll be talking about manufacturing 4.0 and how to adopt manufacturing 4.0 and digital transformation in this competitive environment and competitive marketplace. So please follow our coming webinars. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to seeing you in our coming webinars. Thank you. Have a nice day.